Hi, I'm Dan Limbach, producer of the PharmaVOICE Webcast Network at the Scope Summit in Orlando, Florida. In this Editor's Take video, I meet with Michelle Marlborough, Chief Product Officer at AiCure, and Lauren Sunshine, Associate Director at AiCure. Let's talk AI. Michelle, how can AI potentially boost the success rate of clinical trials?
So I think this is a really interesting question for a couple of reasons. We as an industry tend to try and find like golden bullets for our issues, and I feel like AI is potentially one of those. Like we think that it might magically solve all of our problems, and I don't actually think that's the case. But I do think if we're really specific about how we look to apply it and the use cases that we pick, it will make a massive difference for us as an industry. AI is really good at making sure that we have repeatable, accurate information and data. So places where we can really improve data quality in assessments, in calculations, in the way that we think about the risk in our trials, for example, so predicting what might happen. I think are all places where we've got lots of super interesting data that we can apply AI to help the industry move forward. I don't think it's going to necessarily solve every problem that we have.
Lauren, it's clear that AI-based models are helping trial design, AI-based techniques are being used for patient recruitment, and AI-based monitoring systems aim to boost study adherence and decrease dropout rates. How does the AiCure technology platform use AI to assess improvement in patient engagement, clinical trial outcomes, and adherence?
Yeah, so we leverage our AI mobile technology platform in order to capture in real time whether or not participants are taking their study medication. And all of that data feeds up to dashboards that allow study teams as well as site staff to see whether or not their patients are actually dosing, giving them the opportunity to intervene before a very important critical dose is missed, which is especially important for studies with shorter treatment durations, for example. It also could be really important if you're seeing trends in the data. You want to look if a participant's missed multiple days of consecutive dosing, or maybe has multiple days where their device was not connected, they're not completing assessments, there's a chance they're at risk of dropping off. We also leverage some predictive analytics to flag different patients that might need follow-up for various reasons, where we are seeing, okay, they are becoming less engaged and they could benefit from some sort of an intervention, whether it's a call from the clinician, a visit, or maybe they just need some quick reminders about when to take their medication.
Michelle, how does your technology work in actual practice? Can you highlight some use cases for us?
Sure. So as Lauren mentioned, the platform is focused on making sure that patients take their medication. So we have a mobile application that the patient interacts with that is focused very much on being assistive to them, to help them stay on track with their treatment regimen and to stay well connected with the protocol. So it reminds them when it's time to take the medication, it reminds them when they have visits or assessments to do, and then it quickly and easily steps them through some tasks basically to make sure that they're taking the medication. So we recognize that we have the right person. The application is trained to recognize the medication. They show that they have the right medication. And then we monitor the active ingestion through a couple of quick and simple gateway steps, so making sure that they place the medication in the mouth and that they ingest it. All of that information is then transferred to the back end, and we run another set of sort of computer vision and AI models on it to confirm that people really, really did take the medication. What we typically see in trials is that you have essentially three types of patient. You have those that are going to do great, right? They just need a little bit of assistance and help to stay on track. So things like the reminders and just the act of interacting with the technology keeps them super compliant. You have a middle set who, for numbers of reasons like life, the burden of disease, maybe struggle a little bit more to stay on track. And with those patient populations, what we see is that data that gets transferred to the sites, the dashboards that Lauren mentioned, a human touch at that point for patients that are struggling really helps to make a difference. So the site makes a phone call, sends a text message. Those patients then stay on track. They don't drop out. And then really interesting, what we've seen over the course of the many years that we've been doing this is that there's a third set of patients who really have no intention of taking their study medication. So we talk about that as intentional non-adherence. They will pretend to take the medication, maybe they spit it out, For those, it's very much about making sure that that information is available to the sponsors in a way that helps them minimise risk on their trials. So have they got enough patients that are truly adherent and are taking the medication to have power in the trial, for example? So we really look at that from a risk management perspective, and if folks have trials that maybe the results aren't as clear-cut as they were hoping, we have very, very granular information on who has and hasn't taken the medication that allows you to have more confidence in your go, no-go decisions around whether you take a compound forwards. What we also saw as we were doing all this is that same technology, the computer vision and AI interaction, can actually be used to measure more things than just medication adherence. So through a very simple interaction with the application, something like asking how you're feeling today and recording something as little as 10 seconds of audio and video, we can then start to assess digital biomarkers. So things like voice characteristics, expressivity, mood, things that traditionally in our fields we haven't been able to measure very objectively. So we've kind of branched out into those areas recently.
Lauren, what does your user adoption or feedback look like?
So we have pretty great user adoption, which was almost surprising to me at first, because we do take part in a lot of CNS studies to date, and some might have concerns about patients actually using the technology. However, we found through pretty extensive site visits that as long as you are very straightforward and explicit with patients on what data that we are collecting and where it's going to be used, who it's going to be used by, it's really helped with our user adoption. We've also done pretty extensive usability studies, ages 4 to 96 years old, to be really sure that this is ready to fit all patient populations. Now, in the event any participants are not so engaged with the technology, there are several different enrichment tactics that we have taken that we've seen to really help. In addition to those interventions, we've also deployed micro-reimbursements in quite a few studies, reimbursing participants small amounts for their time and effort spent using the technology to take their medication or complete an assessment. And we've seen that to be really effective to help boost engagement and increase retention.
That's great news. Finally, Lauren, who are your typical customers and what are your plans to expand your footprint?
Yeah, so our typical customers to date range pretty widely in terms of size. We work with small biotechs to large pharma companies. We've also worked with some different healthcare organizations, payers. To expand our footprint, we did recently launch our new partnership model, a formal partnership model with CROs specifically, where we partner up with them, our CROs are of course the operational experts. We consider ourselves the technology experts, so it makes really a lot of sense to work together. They're also the sources of many different kinds of data from different systems and have the abilities to integrate our data with these other data sources to glean even more powerful insights in terms of site performance, risk-based monitoring, really exciting possibilities there, predictive analytics, advances in digital biomarkers. So really going to work with our partners closely in order to expand our footprint.
That's very exciting. Michelle and Lauren, thank you for spending some time with us at the SCOPE conference.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you for watching this Editor's Take video. For more information about AiCure, visit AiCure.com. And don't forget to check out our other Editor's Take videos at PharmaVOICE.com/videos.